it's like too many different check marks, too many different checkpoints. It's like all the checkpoints are all in the same place, all at the same time, happening, all checking all these things exactly at the same time, and we don't uh, we don't walk that way, or like we don't walk, we don't you don't walk and talk like this. You have to walk and talk. Like we don't walk it. We don't work it out like this. That's not how it works. Like until like that's it may work that way when it's going to be like it's not is it necessary to work that way. It's somebody's going to be important one day. And I like that this will make my scalp look. All right, let's get right to it because I can't help myself. I am in awe of this presentation that I am drafting out as a new platform for my own rationalization and pers- perspective awareness that once again is coming from a source connected to my spiritual um, being, and then also a very, 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 let's say, very, very, very documented and historical, contextual substance that belongs in line with this, aeration of gratitude right now. It's a part of my gratitude, and I'm starting with that. That's my. That's how you begin to. Um, that's how you begin your prayers, and a major part of this is getting the knit and grit down first. The juicy part, or not the juicy part, but the solid the solidification of result first, because you just don't know how much time you have. I don't know how much time I have to kind of work this out, so I got to work it out right away. So I'm filming this base. We have base. I'm filming the stages of progression with uh, my connection to my my cosmetology, my cosmetic um, development, and also the development of um, product and combination of new elements that have been integrated into an already existing formation, an already existing format that has begun to penetrate and process really well and fluidly through my mindscape. I was doing some brainstorming and also doing some rehashing of some topics that needed further attention to be heard out loud in a rational form from me. It's something similar to practicing a speech before you have to relay a very important kind of message to a group of people that you highly respect and want to um, consider the things that you say very, very well. And also a part of it is my, ever since I was a kid, like I am usually like very, very, very docile and very, very, very removed from having to kind of negotiate or explain anything. I'm not obligated to explain anything to anyone. I don't. That pressure hasn't been put on me. However, because of that reason, I have to starts to learn how to pick up this wheel and start to spin this wheel and turn it into something that could be mobile and make it a part of my kit and my packet that will carry me through times that are projected in state and also in motion and in notion as science, as in for, I'm now inviting geology, um, natural science, geographics. I've always been in that connected state, but this has a little bit further. This has now like a uh, uh, the password and the key are the same thing. You don't need two separate things, and the formula is not a formula. It's a step process that is calculated and summed up very, very easily and can be delivered in a really, really gentle, dominant state without having to have any regression or any unnecessary involvement with its resolve. I think that's the best way I can put it. And what I'm talking about is my materials and my objects, my my minerals, um, my mixology, my fixtures, and my step by step. I usually have formulas, but this is a step by step directorial practice that um, has been executed really well. I'm filming, but I'm focusing on my base of foundation on my face using Makeupforever Paris Flash Palette, the original one. I came up with this whole complex concept of the storyline of the circle of life, just talking about the circle of life and talking about its um, economic state. Something that's generally always on my mind because the economy is always connected to the botany, which is always connected to the state in which we're in, which is always connected to the possibility of something becoming something or something being removed forever. And it always is going in a cycle and in and out of realization that we can relax into, and also that is scarce and kind of depletes our stock on many things. So this is about my stock. This is about my relation to myself and my identified state. I've identified a further projection of a definitive base that works with my complexion in its most fairest state, which, if that's not to be understood in a way of, in a very basis way, like I'm speaking Pig Latin or something like that. In other words, sometimes I'm more fair, like more within um, luminosity or within a neutral state, and sometimes my skin and its complexities merge into more of a resting state where the depth and the warmth kind of take over the surface value, and I can I tend to appear um, more in a earthy, grainy value, and a more of a broader, more bolder, um, exact relation to like a community of browns and earth tones and um, shades that are a lot more easier to find, and has been that way for as far as I know, enough time to know it, and to know it well, and to welcome it, and also to be aware of the shades variations of um, reason that needs to be processed along with the actions that follow. So I'm glad this video doesn't involve me actually doing the actual mixing that I just did, but I pulled out my primary color kit that I always start with, that I'm still loyal to. Many. This is 2024. Many artists are not doing that anymore. Like, there's so many different levels of options that you do not have to do the extra work and the stress, or the extensive kind of like involvement of the tango that happens with color palette placement and color arrangement. But for me, there's always a shock value involved with the development of new colors that I create. And when I create them, I am able to create them duplicated and repetitively in an exact a shade match, to where I don't have to think about uh, you know the ranges and scales of rendering that go on um, with your work time and your workmanship. So it's a part of my skill set, but it's also a part of something that I can kind of brag about, and kind of know that I identify and execute color to an extreme. I'm an extremist that way. And the day that, it starts to filter or fall a different way is the day I know that I'm going to be more than an expert, and more than skilled this and skilled that. Maybe it's something that's designated just for my eyes only. And I'm I'm just, when if I gotta, it's one of these days I'm going to like understand it more. Like, I'm understanding this. So on the right side of my face, I've placed a foundation that is a cool sienna, a mid-range cool sienna, and I popped a um, elementary primary cherry red, and also um, a illuminated ecstatic um, muted pale yellow, mixed the red and yellow together to create a orange, because the topic of tonight's forum for myself and my execution on my projective projects, same thing, but it's different, is that I needed to really encompass this idea of orange. I asked myself a question in my journaling, in my note taking, that I'm utilizing with technology as a relationship. Um, the question was, what were your summaries about the overlooked color orange? This came through um, within a splurt of different cowboy rages. I call them, like, like the spurs that's on the back of the boots. While I was clicking my boots, thinking I was like going to get out of the Wizard of Oz, off the Yellow Brick Road, out of this terrible torment. And once again, solutions don't come that easy or come that fast. And if they did, they wouldn't be solutions. They wouldn't be something to celebrate or look forward to, and they wouldn't be something to kind of cap and seal whatever was thought of before and end it. So I just did that to myself, and the topic was orange. Um, so for a long time, I was using these sienna cool tones, and also using a golden rush kind of like um, slated muted tan brown for my base, as in my conceal, and also my topical unification of my cosmetic state, which is usually very unified, very kind of fully covered with just a slip of product. So I always like save a lot of product, not just because of my skincare or my skin, but because of my, like I said, my workmanship and my expertise on how to use, ounces and millimeters and, different things like that just by eye. So that I can, put my two thumbs up for that one because that's my thing. Seriously, I maybe took zero point 0.2 million. I have to do it by size. Maybe 1.5 0.5 centimeters of a product, which would be kind of like um, maybe 0.65 ounces, and mixed it with um, a swipe of a palette knife swipe of yellow and red, and mix those together, starting with yellow and red. And the shade was just very, 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 very off to me. It was an orange, but it was like more of a um, Catholic orange, if that makes sense. Something used in spiritual ceremonies and the Catholicism faith. And that's not what I was going for. I didn't want to kind of cross those different hatchets. I was going for more of something that would be um, seen as an express escape to a fast good time with my complexion. Meaning, I was going for a kind of sensual, smoldering thing like I usually do. So I was getting my complexion right. I was getting the skin tone match correct. I have at least, a good 3 to 4 different shades that match my skin complexion even after oxidation. I don't go through oxidation, but after that, um, you know, it's been on key. The thing is with my concealers, they usually do all the work, and I don't have to use a foundation at all. And that's a key factor for me because that's almost impossible to do when you're working in a professional environment. There's a system and a protocol and also a registry of items that are supposed to go on certain parts of your skin for protection and also for pressurized states that, over time will be um, synchronized with the whole overall look and the whole overall purpose of the look. Um, so getting back to what I did, you can see in this light that I'm pretty even now. However, on this side, there's nothing on my skin. Um, my skin is pretty in a pretty pure state, meaning that it's like almost with the autonomy of like a glass of water. That's what tonight's look is about. And then on this side, I have a full coverage concealer foundation with full coverage traditional foundation bases that are medium to full coverage. I used enough to have it be full coverage conceal, but it's reading right now as um, kind of luminescent and almost summery, even though this is once again my fairest skin shade, which is always from, you know, the end of August into September, leading all the way into May before I pick up, all the way into June before I pick up the heat of my complexion, which comes in full color form in June and July. Or if I'm in an environment that has unhealthy sun exposure that can kind of be hazardous and cause sun cancer, SPF works, but I still get the burnt shade of like a terracotta cumin cinnamon brown, which is off. It's when my shade is off, but I'm too dark, or I'm too tanned, or too um, uh, um, baked to do anything about it, and I just go with the flow. And it's with me, it's not a surface thing. If I don't wear foundation every day, and I do this solely for the purpose of experimental resolve, and also for mutual awareness and exchange of knowledge for my peers, for myself, and also for the community of cosmetics, and for my natural benefit. So all this is going along with my story. So I placed the color deposits in a very vivid form, starting with the here you go. That's funny. Starting with like the what you would kind of categorize as a red, if you can identify it right away, a red orange, and then there's a orange a orange tempera red. Then there's my base complexion, the medium of everything, from deepest to fairest, which is Sienna, um, the Sienna brown, and then I have the lightest shade of orange, which was that um, Catholic orange, and then I have red and black, which created this rustic burgundy that is a flat base color that doesn't hold any dimension at all. So I mixed my foundation base, my complexion shade, straight out of the bottle that was already established before my formula came into play and before my steps came into play. And I mixed it with what you see as the orange red at the top right there. What has come out is that it completely evened me to the most optimal ideal state of coverage that you can have, matching skin texture, matching luminosity, matching durability, and matching actual on-play comfortability, like if you feel like you're wearing something or not. And I piled it on kind of nicely. What has come out of this, or what just instantly kind of like took picture that I can show and share in my show and tell, is that it completely wiped away any type of resistant color tones that would be difficult or complicated to merge with, my neck or other parts of my exposed skin that would be a variable when I'm, out and about, or when I'm solely contracted or called upon to be in certain settings for a professional status, with my professional status. So I do these things casually, and I do these things non-formally. This one is more so a very extreme of a formal occasion, although I'm like not nowhere near the best attire. I'm like very, very, very. I'm just working in the studio right now, like the Cove, and I like what I have discovered. It's a discovery for me, and um, what has happened is that I have kind of capsized, capped. I call it capped. At least 5 to 6 different staged topical concerns that I always dealt with while seeing what I was seeing and trying to look past it and be optimistic. And it brought it into a very, very literal, logical, factual, scientific form that can now be, either put to rest for myself or just now for me, my own self discovery. But, hopefully, maybe, you know, it can also be a great deal of success in another way at another time. So when I merged these colors together and added the base, a cream base product, cream foundation, not liquid, not powder, not pigment, and not a gel or anything like that, not a serum, cream base, which is um, usually the beginning stage of foundation, like from its starting point, how foundation, the journey of foundation progressed and evolved into all these different now optional uh, choices that you can make and have. And I think I delivered like the best results that you can possibly deliver when it comes to having to by hand, in a raw state, mix everything out of full spontaneity and also with the limited amount of, knowledge compacted in your attempts. So it was a try, but it was only one try that, was A plus shooting star right across the board. I say that with ease, and I can be assured that it can be done again and again and again. And I can recall this experience as something that now is not so much experimental, but is a journey. It's like now has its own velocity as a story. It has its own trail. It went from one segment to one segment to one segment to the next segment fluidly, although I'm using a cream. I used a buffing technique with a synthetic fiber brush from Sonia Raquel. One of my favorite brushes to use on my skin. I usually kind of stick with um, slight rotational movements like a clock. I do clockwork on my face when I'm doing a base, and I use the most little amount of product. Not that you have to, it doesn't matter at all. What matters is that the finished product should be finished, and so my finish started as a finish. So that's a very, very good thing. It's a time saver. It's a stress reliever. It's a pain resolver, and it is a confident booster, and also a direct celebratory moment for your spirit when something as exact has been defined as a divine state of being. I'll explain that maybe in detail a little later, but I think I did the best that I could with that explanation just now. If you have ever tapped into having difficulty finding matches with your complexion, or just haven't been interested at all in having something on you or like with you that is made to kind of be associated and disassociated with like something that you have to have on you and wear, which is your skin, and the good, the bad, the ugly, the complicated, and also the unnecessary, and also the the temporary. I did not finish. I did not set it with a powder or anything like that. I'm leaving it in this kind of like glazed. I would say glazed. Um, as if I use a palette knife. I would say like a glazed, smeared kind of like texture. I would say like a butter knife, maybe like butter, but even better than that. The slip was great. The combination of creams married very well with the brush texture and also the brush shape, which can't really hold creams that well because of the fine hairs and how they cluster together after being exposed to an oil. So I did oil on oil, and it ended up being as lovely as Philadelphia cream cheese. Just the essence of what it really is supposed to mean. It's aromatic, it's ethereal, it's rational, it's smart, it's My Funny Valentine. It's also very, very gender neutral, um, very, very universal, and the base itself is transitional throughout the day. So I'm going to be able to have notes of it take place and also celebrate that as well. So I think I'm getting a lot of insurance and benefit and security from something that was a 1.2 step process. Just simply finding a topic with topical products with a main direct um, point of look, a reference for a look, and with very little time of execution. So it was healthy. It's healthy for my my dominant state as well, which is uh, I'm at an age where I know how to do things and I know how to do them very well, and I don't think about how I do things. I just literally make it happen. And if you can make it happen, and that's it. Period. If it doesn't work, that means it's not happening. So this happened. Um, this is the you can see that's as you can see when I put it up to the light. This I'm using a kind of a really great base light. It's not natural sunlight, but it's a great base light. You can see that goes right into my undertone and also my surface tone. What this color did was it completely obliterated my undertone and my surface tone, this shade, and it merged them together and also covered and coated the whole entire thing with a new entire skin shade that literally is a direct match that can lay well over my skin and play as a barrier as well, which was the original concept of makeup and the original concept of foundation. The original reason why, it was to, have an external representation of yourself to the highest esteem without having to, demoralize you or anybody else with the exchange that was to come. Your own, your own party on your face, if may, your own tea party, if you want to say. So I may be leaving out some parts, but I think the most important part is that I got the color combination, my palette really, really well done. It's very rare, odd colors of orange, shades of orange, and the different values all are actually separately different. 5 different values, and they all do different functions. And I make it all works on my face as one base, one function, one uniform thing, one note, one just pivotal point. It actually counts as one, and not just something. It is that coverage in that foundation shade. So I would say it's in the family of a brick red and a very, very primary sienna. And what happens with those two colors together, it picked up my golden components in my skin, because my skin has a lot of gold in it. But it also pumped up and really gave space for my red undertones, my red undertones that fluctuate, meaning that like my warmth kind of like disappears at times into the 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 the, the underlying layers of my undertone, because it's unnecessary to have it. It's not, the skin works as a system, and it works as a system a certain way. And we can talk about melanin, and we can talk about how certain skin shades kind of counteract with other skin shades, and how some work better together than others, and all. That's not how, like, foundations come in a range of shades, and that's all it does. We come in a range of shades, but that's not all we do. it's 100% a part of your functionality and the friction that may be involved with yourself and with other components of shades that you may come across. The idea is a shade, so it has depth. So it can easily be perceived as not a form of perception, but more as a form of defense. And I did not want to have that notion, but this has delivered um, me from having to worry about that and be concerned that you know, exterior will, my exterior shade and my skin match of my skin tone will be a something I would have to protect and not in health case wise or wellness wise, but defend in a social setting that can be kind of trivial. And I say that because my background is in one sector of life, and this color range and shade lives in another section of life historically, but has only been reviewed in only a certain light and and not as a part, but just as a fixture, almost like an accessory to whatever else was going on. And they didn't do that with people and paintings and portraits. Everything was about the resilience and um, the luxuriousness of having yourself emulated in such a high pristine kind of like opulent way. So I found a way to bring that out of the paint world, the art world, and brought it to my face. And I executed it as much as a Dutch master. And I, at the same time, graduated my mind from a stuck place or um, a place where a consistent flow of things, and kind of like elevated it to a parallel that's unmatched and has peaked with its own right. So, credit is due to just using the right components and the right materials and the right product. And credit to me and kudos to me for partnering and actually doing my job and bringing just as much impact to the table as the actual elements that I was working with. So through that discovery, I've realized that my skin is more so in, a uh, a fixed state, and usually to get these tones like my palette here, you have to mix and you have to wait for the product to warm up. Dealing with foundation with paint is you don't have to wait for the paint to warm up. It's not a real material that should be used on skin. But for this actually works because it's made out of pigments from the earth, but it's exercised in a way where it can be preserved in such a way that you can have it for a long time. But creams don't usually last that long, and the longer you have them, the darker they go, and the more that you involve your own personal touch to it, the deposits of um, transitions from one state of environment to the next kind of alter the finish and alter the color flash that it comes out to, and that's in any lighting that you go into. So I said that to say, oh yeah, that so I picked up I'm determining that my skin is more so a golden copper, and I'm identifying copper as orange, and I'm identifying gold as you know true gilded gold, like true sun gilded gold. Um, the most traditional, most gold found as a mineral, as a metal, sorry, as a metal, and also copper as a metal. But now, with this merge into it not being so much of a metal, but it's an actual mineral or actual agent in a fixed compository arrangement that gives it the impact and the exuberance and um, the alertiveness that you will get from orange. And so that all, I've been in the brown idea for a while, like just brown, just going to the browns. I didn't need to use dimension um, dimension techniques at all. I didn't need to pop anything up to an illuminated state, or I didn't need to like place anything in a stroke manner, which gives it a little bit more of a fine um, relation to like the finish. Like it makes it a little bit more fine when you can kind of see, the placement, and also have another association with placement from a different character there and represent it as well. I just literally put it on and buffed it in, and I use a lot of, the colors that you would assume do not belong in, a skin tone, which is like orange red. And as you can see, in all types of lighting, it works, and it's natural, and it's really unnatural to an extreme. And this this example has been used with one other brand that I'm not going to name because it's has nothing to do with that. It's just more so today, maybe moving forward, kind of like representing this new state of ideal that is not necessarily new, but it's being reintroduced into my studies and into my my projecting state as a new a real way of doing how I do my thing, how I work, how I paint, how I apply, and how I consult, and wiping that all away and just like, this is Ryan's new style. This is my style, and I don't have to. I can just generally say, this is the style of makeup that I did today, and like I said, one side has it, one side doesn't, and I use a lot, and I just did a few motions, buff, 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 or clockwork, 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 from the center to the outside perimeters of the face, just to gradually bring it out, leaving my real skin exposed to its most natural state. So that way, at any point in time, based on the highlights and shadows that are picking up from the light, you can kind of see the difference, because I need to see the difference in order for it to be the same. So it worked out. Everything is universal and uniformed. And the best part of it is that I now have a place in the universal space that is, uniquely mine, and it's unique with its style, with its application, and also with the way I can share it, which I don't plan on doing, because I think that it's more so a self-discovery, and it's not meant to be subjected as a way of communication, but it's my way of kind of really putting a definite, groove into all these different things that have been said, or that hasn't been said yet, or that won't be said, or that will be said, or whatever possibility that is involved. It's no need for a possibility anymore. It's, it's it has it's finite. When I remove this, it's going it's going to pick up as something that's a little bit more um, kind of like visually potent, I would say, against this, base prime color, but on it works really well. And you will find that a lot of people won't be able to replicate the same practice and get away with it being, as uniformed as it is on the skin too. It's going to need the additional steps, it's going to need the additional products. So you're going to need that additional budget, and you're going to need that additional investment time in yourself. And also you're going to need, the right amount of mental space to carry out the drive to, like, put this in motion as often as you can, so that way it can live in the space in your world, and it can also be lived in as well. So I'm cool with it. I use a lot of cool tones today, and as you can see, it's still giving me that really, really great radiance that orange gives you. And it's also comparable to another product that is it's in a lotion form that you have to use as a prepping tool. I didn't have to. I literally worked as a visual artist working with foundations, and I did the same steps I would do in the practice of basing a canvas and priming a canvas, and going straight to work without sketching out anything, just utilizing my natural born talent and gift, and also, being really, really, really particular and precise about my my way of my my art form, my art. And so I like that now I can live in a space where my art is now just under that umbrella, and I can free up the space and release the entanglement and the commitment that fashion and, beauty has had with me. I'm not going to literally do it, because I'm not that type of person. I don't just drop one thing and just because something else has come into my life. But when it's this exact and it's executed in such a way that nothing else can be comparable, then I'm going to follow that, because that means that I'm doing well, and I want nothing but the best for my wellness journey. And that goes in alongside with, like, my skin and how my skin feels right now, and what I know about my skin now, and what I know about, like, the brick red, and like what I know about the historical content behind these hues, and where they lived, and on the planet Earth before they got to my hands, where I was able to magnify it in a way and represent it in such a festive style. So I just wanted to put this out on some type of platform, just like blah, and also, like, kind of separate the pieces, myself, not in my own head, but out loud, with a minor intimidation to its power. And I'm humbled, but I'm more so showing gratitude, because, like I said, I gotta stand tall too and partner with it. I'm a guy wearing makeup, and I'm a guy wearing makeup, and the sensuality that a woman usually allures to when she is, you know um, in the right space. So for me, as a guy and as a male and as an artist, and all these things that I can get away with because that's what I do for a living, and that's my job, that's my career, that's my life, that's my calling, and that's my destiny. um, I I can step away from all that for a second and just appreciate myself as a person doing a task for the first time, just on a random night, just casually by myself, and not knowing what was to come out of it, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing if I was actually, even close to what I wanted to, what I envisioned in my mind, but just hoping that, like, the hope was there, but it's bigger than that. Um, and hopefully, with this, I'm going to remove it now, because I just, this side is cool, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to remove it now, and it's really not the camera. It's 100%. You know, some people want something to look like something, like you did something, like you put effort into it. And so I did all this effort and I put all into it. And with me, it milks out right away. It goes straight to like, okay, he can use more makeup. He can take more color. He can use more makeup, or put like start him off, you know, kind of stacked, so that way it'll like dribble off over time, like the rain kind of stops falling. But I get milked really easy, and all that means for me is that like I gotta learn how to cancel out the white balance a lot more, and try to pick up on the actual true form of the pigments when they're mixed and out of the bottle, and when they have been developed into, you know, the additional stages fundamentally for the overall appearance of um, whatever you're trying to get out there. I say that very loosely and generally, and it's kind of a bad idea. You're supposed to be very, very clear about your vision, because like that's how you use your eyes. But my focus today was beyond that, and it has come to me, and so um, I'm going to sit with it a while. I'm going to take a recess and see how. I'm confident that it's not going to be a problem or issue, unless I love it so much that I continue on with it. But I know that it's more true than any true match, and it's more true than the lie that's being told of me actually putting something on my face to be my skin, instead of my skin just being my skin. And I know that that holds weight and that holds value, and with that, you know, it kind of goes into a now you know, I can have expenditures. I can have like different allotments, and I had them before. I've always had them, and I always will. But the deposits, like I said, are so different. And you know, this grouping, as very, very, very particular as they are and specific as they are, you know, there's certain things that are just none of our making. And I didn't make this, but it was made for me, and I was made. And that right there is kind of like a different vantage point than just, you know, showing off the goods. It's not good or bad. It's just the way that I live my life. It's my way of living. I'm going to get off the camera now because I'm staring at my face and I'm getting distracted. I think I spent enough time with. There, you can see a little better. I think I spent enough time with the base to kind of like merge my all of the things that are coming up as check marks, as hesitation, just to cool it all off and knock those out the way. And I'm streamlining it to the forefront of what I would like to move forward with. So today is February 7th. It is 4:45 a.m. and I've been working on this since 2:30 a.m. And I have a newfound bond with, you know, something that still needs to be explained. I hope that when it matters the most, that it will be needed the least, and almost not needed at all, almost never used. Peace and blessings, light and love.